When the lights go down in the city, we go ahead and head to the Bay Area, Philadelphia, heading to San Francisco, and Brady Kannon is going to give us the winner on the total. A fascinating game. The Eagles have flown over the closing number 3 straight games here, although the Jacksonville game could have gone either way depending upon the number you got. Basic strategy says I'm supposed to fade that trend and go under. However, maybe Philly doesn't apply as a basic strategy team. Brady Kannon.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it's an interesting game. I think a very interesting game. You've got people wondering if the Niners are a contender or a pretender. Philadelphia getting a lot of action to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. They did beginning in the year. Now they're one of the few 3-0 teams. This line, a lot of people reacting thinking this line is pretty high, which I don't necessarily disagree with. Niners favored by anywhere from 5 to 6 points. And how do you necessarily justify that? They've been incredibly sloppy in the second halves of all of their games. They've broken out to nice leads. It looked like they were going to cover the spread in each of their 3 games this year. And I was on them against Arizona, and I was, okay, they've finally got their act together. They're looking good. And once again, in the second half, it all goes downhill. And I think this week, hopefully, Jim Harbaugh is going to, revert back to the typical Jim Harbaugh stuff, smash mouth football, and run the ball.
And Bryan, the 49ers in many ways remind me of Michigan State. They're like kind of the NFL's version of Michigan State, like smash mouth football, good defense. The reason I bring that, but also is Michigan State, of course, had that time when Foles and Kirk Cousins were both quarterbacks on that team. That's a nice situation to have. Who says Sparty can't recruit well? But in the NFL here, what do you think? Is San Francisco going to go ahead and slow down that high-octane offense?
I've been against San Francisco all season long. You go back to the preseason, the offense really struggled. Yeah. The offense has struggled in the regular season. The defense has got a couple suspensions. They just haven't been as well defensively. I'm really surprised this line. You mentioned the 5s and 6s now. I realize Philadelphia's got some offensive line problems right now. Right. That may be the reason for it. But I think we've handicapped the NFL long enough in our careers. Philadelphia, 3-0 on the season. San Francisco, 1-2, lost to Arizona, who's now 3-0. Seattle, 2-1. This is a must-win game for San Francisco, isn't it? Maybe that's one of the reasons why the line's going that way, but I just don't think this is the same 49ers team we've seen the last couple of years.
I agree. And last year, a lot of people are talking about how they started out the same way, 1-2. But I agree, it's not necessarily the same team. They're missing a lot of personnel.
And the guys got to stop driving drunk and beating up people and doing all the stuff that they're doing. The one thing about Philly is I think also the bettors are taking a look, Bryan, maybe the odds makers at that opener, that was a phony win against Indianapolis. Anyone who laid 3, the Colts are up 7 and driving. Right. You could make a case for, if you had Philly +3, you could make a case for, hey, we're going to hold them to a field goal and get in the back door and we're going to push that sucker right on 3. But to win that game outright was a minor miracle at that point. We talked to Ken Thompson about that, but I don't want to go ahead and have my cell phone thrown against the wall because I know he's an avid Colts fan and he certainly expected the Colts, to win that. But we're going to be on the total here, and Brady, you're going to be outlining the reasons why this game. Why don't you, real quickly, before you make it official, some of the reasons you like the under?
Well, I think if the 49ers are going to be successful this season, Jim Harbaugh is going to have to get back to Harbaugh football, and that involves running the ball. And he hasn't done that. He especially didn't do it against Arizona last week, and especially it hasn't occurred in the second half. So I think he's going to run the ball, which will keep that clock moving. I also, point to the, tick, tick, tick. It's also going to be about penalties. They've had a record number of penalties, and I think he has to correct that. They've basically given teams points because of penalties. So I think if he can right the ship there this week, if he can eliminate penalties and run the ball, you're going to have less scoring.
Very good. Bryan, you like the play?
I like the side better.
Since you brought that up, should we sprinkle a parlay of dog to under? Is that we have some correlation here? Maybe not. Maybe anti-correlated, right?
Yeah,
if Philly wins, maybe it's they're putting up lots of points. If San Fran wins, they're
if Philly doesn't put up a lot of points, they're not going to win this game.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Bray, let's go ahead and make it official here.
All right, San Francisco hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. As Steve mentioned, 1-2 are the Niners against 3-0 Eagles. Coming in high-flying offense, the Philadelphia Eagles against a Niners team that has been really disappointing for a couple of games in a row now, and really 3 straight second halves that they haven't done much of anything this year, just to the tune of 3 points. And last week we talked about it against Arizona. Carlos Hyde and Frank Gore combining for just 2 carries in the second half. They touched the ball 9 times all game. So I think Harbaugh in practice this week has got to realize what has made him successful as a coach, and that is smash-mouth football and running the ball. The Niners have a great running game. They have not only Hyde and Gore, but some able backups and Kaepernick as well. I think they're going to get back to the run in this game and try to simplify this offense and go back to what they've been successful at in the past. That's going to keep the clock ticking. The other thing is they have given away games with penalties. 17 times they have given a team a first down with a penalty, and they've had 36 penalties in the first 3 games for a total of 305 yards. That is a record. So I think if Harbaugh can focus this week on committing to the run and eliminating the penalties, he's going to make the clock tick and also not give the other team points. Finally, if you run the ball or time of possession, if you look at the Philadelphia Eagles pass defense, it's the worst in the NFL. So if the Niners can get the running game going, that's going to set up the pass against a soft pass defense, and I think they can hold the ball for a long time in this game. If they can do all those things in practice this week, I think there won't be as much scoring in this game. They'll lessen the Philadelphia Eagles' scoring opportunities with the lack of penalties. They'll keep time clicking off the clock with their running game. I think the 49ers will hold on to possession and keep this score low. I also think they can get a win in this game. I don't know if they'll cover the number, but I think they bounce back with a victory, and it stays under the total of 51.
I know that Steve plays a lot of derivatives. This is going to be interesting what the line maker comes out here first half, second half. Because in the first half, San Francisco's looked really good. Philadelphia's looked really bad. Second half, Philadelphia's been terrific. San Francisco's been horrible. It'll be interesting if they make any adjustments with that.
They won't. They'll set it based upon the formula. And then the bettors will go ahead and adjust it for them because it's just natural that everyone's going to say, I think, just they're going to see those stats and say, we got to bet against the Niners in the second half. And obviously you could bet third and fourth quarters and grab the Eagles plus a half. Personally, on those derivatives, Bryan, I love taking plus a half on these quarters. Laying a half, you're just taking your life into your own hands.
I firmly agree that anytime I can get plus money, that's what you want to do, because a lot of times you can play that money line, or you could play the half.
You get plus the half minus.
Right.
So it's not unusual. Like if I have to choose between like taking plus 130 or taking plus a half and laying 140, I'm laying the 140 every single day because, heck, if you start with the ball, you get 2 possessions and they get 1. Oftentimes there's only 3 possessions they need to score to beat you.
Yeah, and unlike basketball where you get a lot of possessions, you only get a very few in football, and you're either going to score 3 or you're going to score 7. So many times you're going to have a tie game at the end of each quarter.
I think just as interesting as how the numbers are going to be set at halftime will be what this game does between the first half and the second half, because it's been a complete pattern, like you say. Philly second half, Niners first half. What's going to happen this time? Is it going to be reversed? Is it going to? I mean, it'll be a great game to watch, I think.
Is that just a small number size thing that people are talking about right now, or is that the actual personality of these teams?
Yeah, it's very difficult to. I always like.
They're both probably working on correcting it. You know?
Well, that's the thing. What are they going to work on in practice? You know, and you have to look at. There's some teams that just. Again, every single year, the Atlanta Falcons are a great first quarter team under Mike Smith and under Matty Ice. And so they're always prepared to start out, and maybe they've got, I don't know, physicality, issues, later in the game that they start to wear out a little bit sometimes. But that's just something that, that I always look towards. So real good information here, pregame.tv. We are the B team breaking down the games. And if you like the video, stay tuned. Later in the week, we're going to have the A team in. Ken Thompson comes in with Scott Spreitzer and Dave Koken with the winner on under the hat play, no doubt at all, and perhaps a handicapper to be named later. You never know. Thanks for coming in each and every week. Football, and more football. Real quick, I know we got Bryan and Brady, and they've been following everything. Who wins the Super Bowl?
San Diego Chargers.
Love it.
I like San Diego. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl. I'll take Seattle.
I have to brag a little bit. I don't know if it's the best number, but I do have a ticket at 20-1 for the Chargers to win the AFC Championship.
Outstanding. I have a ticket on the Chargers plus 400 to make the playoffs. I'll show
Good
it.
one.
It's
Good
hard to
one.
believe. That was a CGT Technologies. New Orleans Saints started 0-2. I predicted they will not lose a game the rest of the year. They will finish 14-2 and win the Super Bowl. That is my bold prediction. Mark, be sure to delete this video here after they play Seattle.
They lose this week.
Saints versus Chargers. That'll work, right?
That'll work. Very good. Thanks for joining us. Have a great week. Pregame.tv. Excellent job, guys.
Cool.
You like the Saints even this week?